would you do if the phone rang in the dead of night and the voice on the other end was a chilling reminder that you were utterly alone in a quiet suburb of Oakwood, New Jersey, where the streets were lined with old oaks and the houses whispered secrets down their long, shadowy hallways? Emily Turner found herself in just such a predicament. A part-time babysitter, she had taken the job on a whim, lured by the promise of easy money and a chance to escape her own restless thoughts. But as she settled into the unfamiliar home of the Parkers, the air grew heavy with an unsettling energy that made her skin prickle. The Parkers' house was a sprawling colonial, its white siding gleaming in the fading evening light, yet the windows seemed to stare back at her like hollow eyes. Emily had always been drawn to old houses with their creaking floorboards and hidden corners, but this one felt different. A place where shadows danced a little too long and silence echoed just a bit too loudly. As she tucked the children into bed, a sense of foreboding wrapped around her, tightening like a noose. Little did she know the real terror awaited her upstairs. It wasn't long before the phone rang, a shrill, insistent sound that shattered the stillness. Emily's heart raced as she picked up, only to be met with a heavy silence on the other end. "Is everything okay?" she asked, her voice trembling, but only static answered back. It was the first of many calls that night, each one more harrowing than the last, each voice more distorted and menacing. "I see you," one whispered, sending chills cascading down her spine. As she glanced at the staircase leading to the second floor, shadows flickered ominously as if something lurked just beyond her sight. Emily's mind raced back to her childhood, where she had often felt the weight of isolation, a young girl who had once been afraid of the dark. Her parents had divorced, leaving her with a sense of abandonment that only deepened with each passing year. Nights alone in her room had been filled with echoes of imagined threats lurking just outside her door. Yet in this moment, the threat was all too real. The voice on the phone wasn't just a figment of her imagination, it was a tangible force, a reminder that she was not alone in the dark. As she paced the living room, the walls seemed to close in, the air thick and suffocating. The children slept soundly upstairs, blissfully unaware of the terror that was creeping ever closer. She took a deep breath, willing herself to remain calm, but a nagging feeling settled in the pit of her stomach, a feeling that the true horror was not the calls, but what lurked above her. The second floor was a mystery, a realm of shadows that held secrets she was not meant to uncover. Emily's senses heightened as she scanned the dimly lit hallway. The house creaked with age, each sound magnified in the stillness, whispering warnings she could not ignore. What was hidden above? What had she stumbled into? The night stretched on, and with it, the veil of normalcy began to unravel, revealing a sinister truth. But when night fell, something inexplicable happened. An unearthly sound echoed from above, a low, guttural growl that pierced the silence and sent Emily's heart racing. What had she awakened in the darkness? Emily stood frozen in the living room, her heart drumming in her ears as the guttural growl reverberated through the house. It was a sound that seemed to originate from the very walls, a primal warning that something was awakening. The growl faded, replaced by a low thud, something heavy shifting overhead. Panic clawed at her throat as she forced herself to breathe. Just then, the phone rang again, and she snatched it up with trembling hands. This time, The voice was clearer, a harsh whisper that sent icy tendrils down her spine. "It's coming for you." Emily's mind raced. Who was this person? What did they want? The once soothing familiarity of the suburban home now felt like a trap, suffused with an oppressive darkness that threatened to swallow her whole. As she hung up, the front door creaked open, catching her off guard. A figure stepped inside, a tall man with disheveled hair and wide, frantic eyes. It was Noah, the Parkers' neighbor. "I saw your car. Are you okay?" he asked, his voice laced with urgency. He glanced around, his brow furrowing as he took in the dim lighting and the palpable tension in the air. I don't know. Someone keeps calling me, and it sounds like they're threatening me," Emily stammered, glancing nervously toward the staircase. Noah's expression shifted from concern to alarm. "You need to leave. Now, there's something not right about this house." "What do you mean?" she asked, a mixture of fear and confusion flooding her senses. Noah stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I've lived here long enough to know the stories. People have gone missing in this neighborhood. Strange things happen in these old houses. I thought it was just a rumor until I saw things." His eyes darted to the staircase, and Emily followed his gaze, feeling the hairs on her neck stand on end. "Things? What things?" she pressed, desperate for clarity. "Whispers in the night, shadows that move on their own," he replied, his voice trembling. "I saw someone in the window of this house last week. It looked like a woman, but when I went to check, no one was there. Just darkness." Emily's breath hitched. "The children are upstairs," she said urgently. "I can't leave them." Noah shook his head, panic creeping into his features. "You can't stay here either. The calls, the growls, they're connected. Whatever is in this house is feeding off your fear. You have to trust me." As he spoke, the growl returned, louder this time, mingling with the sound of footsteps above. Anxiety gripped Emily as she realized she was not just battling her own fears. She was confronting something far more sinister. "Noah, please, you have to help me get the kids out," she pleaded, her voice cracking. He nodded, determination hardening his expression. "Okay, we'll get them, but we have to be quick. Stay close to me." With that, they ascended the staircase, each creak of the steps amplifying the horror that had taken residence in the house. Emily's thoughts spiraled. What was she walking into? The weight of her childhood fears collided with the reality of the moment, and she felt a surge of vulnerability. As they reached the top, a door creaked open, and they were met with a scene that froze Emily's blood. The children's room was empty, the beds neatly made, but the air crackled with an unseen energy. The chilling realization hit her. The children were not just asleep, they were gone. "No! Where are they?" she gasped, panic rising within her. Noah's face paled, and he shook his head, his eyes wide with fear. "They shouldn't be gone. We have to find them." Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from down the hallway, and Emily felt the ground shake beneath her. The house was alive with chaos, and the hunt had just begun. Emily's heart raced as she stared into the empty room, the absence of her children echoing like a void in her chest. She felt a dizzying wave of disbelief wash over her. They had been there just hours ago, laughing and playing, completely unaware of the impending darkness. Her mind raced back to the last time she saw them, their playful banter, the way they had begged for one more story before bed. The thought of their innocent faces now filled her with dread, and a sinking feeling of helplessness enveloped her. Where could they be? She whispered, her voice trembling with fear. Noah stepped forward, scanning the room as if the children might reappear at any moment. They might be hiding, he suggested, but his voice lacked conviction. The crash from down the hallway jolted them both from their thoughts. A part of Emily wanted to flee the house, but an even stronger part kept her rooted in place, clawing at her thoughts. She needed to find them. Noah's eyes darted around, finally landing on a small closet tucked away in the corner of the room. "What about there?" he pointed. But before they could move, the door slammed shut with a deafening thud. Emily gasped, her pulse quickening. "Did you see that?" she exclaimed, glancing at Noah, who stood frozen, his expression a mix of horror and disbelief. "That wasn't just the wind." "No," he breathed, his voice barely a whisper. "This house is doing something." The growling noise echoed again, now infused with a haunting, raspy voice that seemed to seep from the very walls. "You shouldn't have come back," it hissed, the words slithering into the air around them. Emily's heart sank as she felt a weight of familiarity. These whispers tugged at a memory buried deep in her past. Suddenly, a flicker of recollection surfaced, her childhood long ago, when she had played hide and seek with her friends in a house that had felt just as alive, just as menacing. One friend had vanished that day. They had never found her. Emily had always blamed herself, the last one to see her. Those memories had haunted her for years, and now they surged back, intertwining with her present nightmare. "Emily?" Noah's voice broke her reverie. "We need to go, now." But she couldn't leave. "What if they're in here? What if they need me?" she argued, desperation clawing at her throat. "Something is manipulating you," Noah urged, his eyes wide with concern. "You're not just facing the fear of losing them. It's something deeper, something that knows how to exploit your vulnerabilities." Suddenly, the closet door creaked open slightly, revealing a sliver of darkness. Emily's instincts screamed at her to run, but she felt an inexplicable pull, as if the house itself was beckoning her to confront her past. "Stay back!" Noah shouted, but Emily was already stepping forward, drawn by an unseen force. She reached for the door, her fingers trembling as she pushed it wider. What lay beyond was a shadowy void, but she could hear faint giggles. Her children's laughter mingled with something sinister. The darkness promised answers, but at what cost? "No!" Noah shouted, grabbing her arm, but the moment his fingers touched her, a blinding flash of light enveloped them both, and the world around them twisted. In that instant, everything changed. Emily found herself standing in the middle of another hallway, one she didn't recognize but felt oddly familiar. The air was thick with an oppressive silence, and the walls whispered secrets she was desperate to uncover. "Where are we?" she gasped, looking at Noah, whose expression was a mix of awe and horror. "What is happening?" But his eyes darted around, and she could see the fear etched on his face. "This isn't just your past, it's ours. We've both been drawn here for a reason." As Emily stood on the threshold of a revelation that threatened to unravel everything she knew, the shadows around them began to pulse, revealing glimpses of their intertwined histories, old wounds and dark memories that now threatened to resurface. "Let's figure this out together," Noah said, his voice steadying as he met her gaze. "But we have to be careful. We don't know what else is lurking in the dark." And with that, they took their first step into the unknown, the echoes of laughter and whispers merging into a single haunting melody that would lead them deeper into the heart of the mystery. As Emily and Noah stepped deeper into the shadowy hallway, the oppressive silence began to morph into a symphony of whispers, each one laced with urgency. It was as if the house itself was alive, breathing around them, alive with the echoes of memories that had long been buried. The dim light flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls, and the laughter of children rose from the depths of the void, intertwining with the whispers. "Do you hear that?" Emily whispered, her heart pounding in her chest. "Yeah," Noah replied, his voice tense. "It sounds like them, but it's not just laughter. There's something else, something wrong." Suddenly, the shadows coalesced into a figure, a dark silhouette that loomed at the end of the hallway. Emily's breath caught in her throat as she recognized the outline. It was her childhood friend, the one who had vanished so long ago. The figure beckoned her forward, and in that moment, all the pain and guilt of her past surged to the surface. "Emily, don't!" Noah's voice broke through her reverie, but it was too late. The figure's eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and Emily felt herself moving closer, drawn by an inexplicable force. "What do you want?" she cried, her voice trembling as she confronted the specter of her past. The figure's mouth twisted into a smile, but it was devoid of warmth. "You've come back to play, haven't you?" it hissed, the voice echoing with the pain of lost time. "You left me behind, but I've been waiting for you." "No!" Emily shouted, shaking her head, desperate to break free from the memories that threatened to consume her. "I didn't leave you. I didn't know." "No!" the figure interrupted, its voice rising in anger. "You knew. You were supposed to protect me, and you failed." In that moment, the shadows surged forward, enveloping Emily in a whirlwind of emotion, fear, guilt, anger. She felt Noah's hand grasp hers tightly, grounding her amidst the chaos, but even his presence couldn't quell the torrent of memories flooding her mind. "Emily!" he shouted, his voice strained as he struggled against the shadows that threatened to pull them apart. "You have to fight it. Remember who you are." With a surge of determination, Emily locked eyes with the figure. "You're not real," she declared, her voice steadying as she recalled the love she had for her children, the responsibility that had brought her back to this place. "You're just a shadow of my past." The figure hissed in rage, the shadows beginning to claw at her, but Emily stood her ground. "I won't let you take them from me," she shouted, feeling the warmth of Noah's hand encircle hers, strengthening her resolve. The darkness recoiled momentarily, and in that instant, Emily felt a shift. The weight of her past began to lift as she faced the entity with newfound courage. But just as the shadows started to dissipate, a new presence emerged from the darkness, a second figure stepping into view. "Emily, you can't do this alone," it said softly, and her heart skipped a beat. It was her mother, a face she hadn't seen in years, yet one that filled her with warmth and longing. "You must embrace all parts of yourself, your fears, your failures, your love. Only then can you save them." As the tension in the air built to a breaking point, Emily felt the walls begin to pulse with energy. She had a choice to make: to confront her past and embrace the truth, or to let the shadows consume her and her children forever. With Noah at her side and her mother's voice echoing in her heart, she prepared for the decisive moment that could change everything. With a deep breath, Emily steeled herself, her heart thrumming with a mix of fear and resolve. "I'm not afraid of you anymore," she declared, her voice echoing through the hallway, resonating with the strength of her defiance. The dark figure faltered, its glowing eyes flickering as if recognizing the shift in her spirit. Noah tightened his grip on her hand, his presence a steady anchor amidst the chaos. "You've got this, Em. Just remember the love you have for your kids," he urged, his voice a soft yet powerful reminder of what was at stake. As the shadows writhed around her, Emily felt a surge of warmth emanating from within. She could almost hear her children's laughter, the sweet sound of innocence that had been swallowed by the darkness. Summoning every ounce of love and courage she possessed, she pushed forward, stepping into the heart of the swirling shadows. "I'm here for you. I'm here for all of us," she shouted, her voice rising above the cacophony. The spectral figure recoiled, its form flickering like a faulty bulb. "You will not take my memories or my family from me." In a brilliant flash of light, the shadows began to unravel, retreating as if burned by her fierce determination. The other figure, her mother, smiled encouragingly, and together they formed a radiant barrier against the darkness. As the last tendrils of shadow evaporated, a deafening silence fell over the hallway, leaving only the sound of Emily's ragged breaths. But the victory came at a cost. Emily staggered back, clutching her head as a sharp pain pierced her temples. The emotional weight of her past crashed over her like a tidal wave, leaving her breathless. Noah rushed to her side, concern etched across his face. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice trembling. I think so," she managed, though she could feel the remnants of the shadows lingering at the edges of her mind. The house around them felt different now, lighter, yet hints of the darkness remained, whispering secrets she couldn't quite grasp. Yet, as they turned to leave, a chilling breeze swept through the hallway, carrying with it a faint echo of laughter intertwined with a sorrowful wail. Emily's heart sank. "What was that?" she whispered, her gaze darting back to the now quiet corridor. Noah's eyes narrowed, concern deepening. "I don't know, but I have a feeling this isn't over," he replied, glancing around as if expecting another figure to emerge from the shadows. As they stepped back into the light, the house seemed to sigh, as if releasing a burden it had held for too long. But Emily could still feel the lingering presence of those lost, their stories interwoven with her own. She knew that while she had faced one part of her past, there were still mysteries left unsolved. The journey had marked them both. Emily's heart bore the scars of her confrontation, while Noah's resolve had deepened, binding them together in a way he hadn't anticipated. "We need to figure out what happened here," he said, determination settling in his gaze. "There's more to uncover." And as they stepped outside, the weight of the shadows lifted slightly, revealing a world still shrouded in lingering secrets. Emily looked back at the house, a sense of unfinished business curling in her stomach. She felt the pull of the past, a promise of revelations yet to come. "Let's go find the truth," she said, her voice steadying as she gripped Noah's hand tighter. The adventure was far from over. It had only just begun. As Emily and Noah stepped into the brightening world outside, a sudden tremor rippled through the ground beneath them. In an instant, Emily felt the pull of an unseen force, a whisper that beckoned her back toward the house. It was as if the remnants of the shadows were calling her, intertwining with her very essence. "Noah," she gasped, her voice a mix of wonder and terror. The shadows had not been vanquished. They had merely retreated, biding their time. The laughter that had echoed moments before now morphed into a chorus of pleading voices, their cries resonating within her soul. "I can't leave it behind," she murmured, eyes wide with realization. "No, Em! We need to get away from here," Noah urged, but she could feel the warmth of the darkness wrapping around her, inviting her to join its embrace. With every pulse of her heart, the shadows seemed to resonate, calling to the parts of her she had long buried. In a moment of clarity, Emily understood this was not merely a battle of light and dark, it was a merging of her spirit with the very essence of the house. She felt herself slipping away from her corporeal form, her consciousness intertwining with the supernatural forces that had plagued her family for generations. As she embraced the shadows, she became a guardian of the lost, a bridge between the living and the lingering spirits trapped within the walls. "I will protect them," she vowed, her voice echoing in a harmony of light and darkness. Noah watched, helpless, as Emily's figure shimmered, her outline fading like mist, yet her presence growing stronger, more vibrant. In that moment, Emily understood that she was no longer just a mother. She had become part of the phenomenon, the very essence of the house that had once tormented her. The shadows were no longer her enemies. They were her allies in a quest to preserve the stories of those who had come before. As the last remnants of her physical form dissolved into the ether, Emily's laughter mingled with the echoes of the past. The house sighed in relief, its burden lightened, yet its mysteries remained, waiting for the next seeker of truth. Noah, standing alone in the encroaching quiet, felt the weight of her sacrifice. He knew that this journey was far from over. He would uncover the truth not only for himself, but for Emily, who now existed as both protector and prisoner of the shadows. And so, the tale continued, as the darkness whispered secrets waiting to be unveiled. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Share with your friends so they can also embark on this mystery-filled adventure. Leave a comment below telling us your favorite part or what kind of ending you'd like to see in a future story.